We're here with former Major League Baseball player Billy Sample, who just released his new movie, Reunion 108. Billy, tell us a little bit about how the idea of the movie came about.
Well, Nick, I really had a number of notes around the house, and I decided to put them together because I ascribe to be a scribe. So I want the freedom of creating something, and I think through the written word I had a greater opportunity to do so. And after putting these notes together, I thought, okay, well, let me see if I can make it into a screenplay. And actually, I had help from my oldest son who helped me put it in a proper screenwriting format. And then I submitted the screenplay to the Hoboken Film Festival in 2011, and it took top honors. Now, I have to admit that I've been to enough film festivals to know that sometimes things can be a little shady, but I thought it was a good screenplay. In fact, one of the other applicants wanted to make sure, so he wanted to read mine, so I asked to read his, so I read his, he read mine, and his was good too, but I think mine was good. So then I decided, well, let me see if I can't make this into a movie, because I may have trouble selling this as a first-timer to somebody in Hollywood. And as it is, it's a little different. I mean, it's a little bit like me. It's edgy, it's satirical, it's R-rated as I can be at times. But we got it done. We shot it in the spring of 2012. We shot the sort of guerrilla shooting where you're shooting 21 out of 23 days, and there's not a lot of extra time to do it. But I like it. I'm excited about it, and I want other people to see it at least. But it's different now. I'm going to tell you right now, it's different. There are going to be some things in this movie you have not seen in any other movie.
Gentlemen, I'd like to have a moment of silence for those who have lost.
Give us a premise of what the movie is about and how it maybe differs from other baseball-themed movies that are out there.
Well, I probably should say that it has a baseball backdrop more so than it's a baseball movie. It's two generations of ball players coming together in a minor league town in which both generations won a championship. One generation would be my age, 50s, 60s, so that I could play in the movie, and another generation maybe 20s and 30s. So we're together comparing notes, having flashbacks and anecdotes to our careers in the past, some on the field, but most of them off the field. And more than half of the movie takes place in the clubhouse itself. And then that's where the flashbacks go back and forth. I make a couple of points in the movie that I've always made, but for the most part, it's an edgy, satirical, R-rated comedy. Like me.
What did you enjoy most about the process?
Nick, I think what I enjoyed most about the process was watching the actors get into their process and bringing what they had to that particular role. Now, I had a lot of actors in small snippets, kind of, because we had flashbacks, and the flashbacks probably averaged about 5 to 6 minutes per flashback, and it was enough for the most part for the actors to really get into it and to make that role their own, and they knew they had the freedom to do so, and they were allowed to ad-lib. A couple of times I would say, all right, well, I want it done this way or that way, but aside from that, they had the freedom to ad-lib. So it was fun to watch them just get into the process of acting. We had, in one of our flashbacks, we would pick the actors up, let's say, in the city, because we had actors coming in from Long Island and Brooklyn and New York City, and my oldest son would drive that group up, and I would drive another group up more from the Jersey side up to Fishkill, New York, where we shot more than half of the movie. And this one actor and actress who were going to be in the scene together knew, I guess, once they got on the van that they were going to be in the scene together, and they behaved the same way that they would have in the scene. And it was just amazing to watch, and it was one of my favorite scenes. We have 13 major flashback scenes, and that's, well, I have a few favorites, but that was a favorite one of mine.
It's another ex-Major League player that was involved with it, Fernando Perez.
Yes.
And so what was that like, having someone from the alumni kind of involved in that movie, and did you guys kind of compare experiences at all during that time, or kind of bounce stuff off each other while you were going through it?
No, I had three other players. Well, one's me,
Yeah.
and then Fernando, and then Joe Assanio, who pitched for the Yankees.
Sure, he's
in the
the
90s.
coach at Marist right now.
Yeah, and John Foster, who was coaching at Monroe College, pitched with the Braves in the early 2000s and the mid-2000s. So I had some other people, but I had seen a little bit of Fernando on YouTube, and I thought, okay, that really works for me. So it was a big sell for me to have him join, and it was just delightful. We really didn't have time to compare notes, but because the script was pretty much, I'm the writer, so the script is pretty much, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we can ad-lib off of it, but this is what it's going to be. And I knew, I'd been around the game enough to know that some of the things that happened when I was playing is still going on today. So that was part of the premise of the interaction between the older group and the younger group anyway. But it was really a lot of fun. Fernando had a big role. He was just delightful, as a lot of the actors were, and it's really, to me, adds a lot of credibility to have an actor or to have a baseball player who can act.
How do you think that your past experience working in media has helped you along in this process?
Well, we have a big media scene in which the players and the media have sort of a give and take. And almost all of that is from my interaction on both sides, dealing with the media and being a member of the media. And so I think that I'm fairly credible in saying that, okay, well, this is how it happens. You're going to have a hard time rebuttaling or debating me if you disagree about what comes out in it. But it's fun, and that was one of my best scenes too. It's not a flashback scene, but there's some scenes that just sort of continue through the course of the movie, and that was one of the earlier scenes, the relationship between the players and the media.
Where are you at now with the movie? I know that you had a release relatively recently, but what's the next step?
Well, the next step, I had a release in my hometown of Salem, Virginia at a Carmike Theater, one of the regular theater chains, I think number 4 in the country. And then I had a Blu-ray release at a theater in Leroy, Illinois, at a Princess Theater, one of those venerable theaters that really has a lot of character to it, and they couldn't have been nicer. The Hannafin family who owns the theater and sort of brought it back to Leroy and created a greater interest, and not only that, but they cut me a pretty good deal too, so I really appreciated that. But that was a lot of fun. I had met an actor, Thomas Jackson, on Facebook who was in that area, and he knew the people to sort of direct me to, and that was a lot of fun. Just hanging out with other actors, because Thomas had been in a movie, Spades, that I liked. We sort of exchanged movies, and I sent him Reunion 108, and we both enjoyed each other's work, and they really were great. The feedback I got there was great. The people knew what I was going for in a lot of it, so it made me feel good to get that kind of positive reinforcement.
Sure. And so, for people that may be curious or want more information about it, where can they go?
We have a Facebook. Reunion 108 has a Facebook page where I'll update people all the time. I also have a Facebook, which I'll be updating people because I want people to come out as well. Right now we're sort of hitting a lot of the independent theaters. The next one that I know, and I'm sure I'm going to have some between now and February, the first week in February, but we're going to have a big showing in Suffern, New York. And that seats, that theater, Lafayette Theater on 59, seats a whole bunch of people. So that'll probably be close to what a red carpet for us, because a lot of the actors, we have actors from Boston, we have actors from Virginia where I grew up, but the bulk of the actors are from the New York City area, so that'll probably be their chance for a lot of them to see the whole movie. They've only seen their segments and haven't seen the whole movie, so they can see how just what the sick mind I have in putting together all of this in an hour and 58 minutes, which seems long for a comedy, but it really isn't because it moves so quickly. I wrote it thinking about Our Girl Friday, Rosalind Russell, Cary Grant, mid-1940s, where it's just snappy repartee the whole time, and I think you see a lot of that in Reunion 108.
What's Billy Sample up to nowadays in addition to your endeavors with Reunion 108?
Well, Nick, if I get successful with this one, if I manage to, 1, get out of debt, 2, return money to my investors, including me, I would like to, my oldest son is a screenwriter as well. He bides his time as a trainer, but he has 3 scripts. So if we can make some credibility with this, and have a feeling that we've got enough to offer to stay in the industry. I know he likes to write. I fancy myself as a writer, so I'd like to stay in it. I don't know. I'm in my late 50s and I have no marketable skills. I have a BS in psychology from James Madison. What was I thinking? What do you do with a BS in psychology? So I think I finally figured out what I really want to do in life, and this would be it. If I can get any type of feedback at all, then I think I'll stay in this industry.